The Elimination Chamber is one of WWE's most dangerous and iconic match types, created to mix the locked-down brutality of Hell in a Cell with the timed chaos of multi-entrant spectacles like the Royal Rumble and the enclosed feel of War Games. It first appeared at Survivor Series 2002 and swiftly became a decisive battleground, resolving intense rivalries and crowning new champions. The design forces sudden pod entrances, hard metal surfaces and elimination rules that together create high drama and career-defining moments. Shawn Michaels walking out with the World Heavyweight Championship that night became an emotional landmark and proof of concept for the match. Across later years, the Chamber produced shock cash-ins, betrayals, and title changes while prompting debate about safety and spectacle. In the sections ahead, we will track the origin of the idea, its evolution on the road and on television, and why the Chamber has shaped so many championship stories. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The birth of the Elimination Chamber, 2002. In October 2002, Eric Bischoff introduced the Elimination Chamber on WWE Raw, announcing a new brutal match that would debut at Survivor Series. He framed the idea as an enclosed, timed entry contest that would test endurance and resolve, and the weeks that followed turned the set itself into a central element of the storylines. Television packages showed glimpses of the structure, and the commentary cast the Chamber as something more punishing than conventional cage matches, which helped build anticipation and dread among viewers. The physical design of the Chamber was immediately striking. 4 transparent holding pods were positioned in the corners outside the ring, and chain-framed walls rose high above the canvas. Steel grating separated the ring apron from the base of the cage, and the overall effect made falls and high spots look especially hard and dangerous. 2 competitors began the match, while the other 4 waited locked inside their pods. At set intervals, another pod would open, allowing a new entrant to join the fight. This timed entry mechanic gave the match a natural rhythm of tension, release, and sudden escalation that television storytellers could exploit. When Survivor Series 2002 arrived at Madison Square Garden, the Elimination Chamber concept finally became a reality. 6 superstars competed for the World Heavyweight Championship, and the participants were Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Rob Van Dam, Kane, Chris Jericho, and Booker T. The bout was booked as the culmination of several overlapping feuds, and it was staged to create multiple dramatic peaks in a single night. Shawn Michaels emerged with the World Heavyweight Championship, and the visual of him standing inside the steel with the title in hand was presented as an emotional crowning moment that tied into his recent storyline of conflict and near retirement. The match also highlighted the potential danger of the structure. Rob Van Dam scaled one of the pods to hit his signature 5-star frog splash, but his landing went wrong, accidentally catching Triple H in the throat. Contemporary video and later interviews confirm that Triple H suffered a significant throat injury during the sequence. That incident became part of the Chamber's early legacy because it demonstrated that the pods and hard surfaces could cause real injury when even a small margin missed a move, prompting backstage conversations about how to manage dangerous spots. Bischoff presented the Chamber on television as a hybrid idea, and later reporting adds nuance by showing that the final form grew from a mix of ideas inside the company. Triple H has stated that he sketched the early elements of the design and that the Chamber evolved through collaboration among producers, designers, and performers. The result blended the locked-in, brutal feel of larger enclosed matches with the timed entry and elimination mechanics of multi-entrant contests, which meant the Chamber felt both new and rooted in wrestling history. From its first night, the Elimination Chamber proved to be more than a one-off attraction. It provided WWE with a main event vehicle that could crown champions, stage sudden betrayals, and generate headline images that defined careers. Shawn Michaels' victory at Survivor Series 2002 confirmed the match type's storytelling power and established a template the company would revisit and refine in later years. The debut night remains a watershed moment in WWE history because it transformed an on-air concept into a visceral, cinematic match that changed how the company constructs major championship narratives. Evolution of the structure. Between 2003 and 2010, the Elimination Chamber evolved from an eye-catching novelty into one of WWE's most feared match types. The original structure was presented as a monstrous assembly of steel and plexiglass, framing the ring with 4 clear pods and chain-laced walls. Company production notes and later reporting described the construction as roughly 16 feet tall, 36 feet in diameter, and weighing in the realm of multiple short tons, with miles of chain wrapped through the frame. Those raw specs helped to sell the chamber as something built to punish the body and to produce dramatic cinematic images. Promoters did not confine the chamber to a one-time spectacle. WWE brought the structure back for major cards when they needed a high-stakes main event. After its Survivor Series debut, the chamber returned at SummerSlam in 2003, where it again carried a World Heavyweight Championship storyline. In the mid-decade, the match became a New Year's staple and appeared on the 2005 and 2006 New Year's Revolution cards. Those repeat bookings proved the format could settle complicated title pictures in a single violent encounter and could be used for both the World Heavyweight and WWE Championship scenes. The Chamber's spectacle came with real danger for the performers. As earlier said, in the inaugural 2002 contest, Rob Van Dam vaulted from the top of a pod, and his 5-star frog splash landed badly on Triple H and struck his throat. Contemporary match reports and later interviews confirmed Triple H experienced a significant throat injury during that sequence, and that the spot highlighted how unforgiving the plexiglass pods and metal surfaces could be when a move went wrong. That incident became an early touchstone in debates about how to present spectacle without risking catastrophic injury. The chamber was also a fertile ground for shocking turns and sudden title changes. Its timed entry and elimination rules built natural, dramatic beats that creative teams could exploit to create betrayal moments and immediate payoffs. A defining example occurred in January 2006, when John Cena left a chamber match battered and exhausted, and Edge cashed in his money in the bank briefcase to win the WWE Championship. That first successful cash-in rewrote how quickly a storyline could pivot after a brutal main event, and demonstrated how the chamber could serve as both a climax and a setup. Across the decade, WWE experimented with the chamber itself and the rules surrounding it. Producers altered materials used in the pods and added more padding around surfaces to try to reduce the worst impact. The company also developed lighter, modular variants, allowing the set to be transported more easily, so the match could be staged in arenas with different ceilings and rigging limits. The timing between pod openings and the number of entrants were adjusted from show to suit television windows and the needs of a given storyline. Those changes were driven by a constant balancing act between spectacle and performer safety. By 2010, the Elimination Chamber had already left a complicated legacy. It produced unforgettable championship scenes and career-defining visuals, while also leaving a record of near misses that prompted production and booking changes. The era from 2003 through 2010 shows the chamber as both a brilliant storytelling tool and a reminder that theatrical danger requires careful engineering and thoughtful booking. Fans still debate its highs and lows, and the matches from those years continue to be cited when people talk about wrestling spectacles that mattered. Redesign and modern era. From 2010 to 2017, the Elimination Chamber resided in a strange place. It had become one of WWE's most visually arresting matches, but the original steel and plexiglass construction posed serious logistical problems and safety questions. The old circular frame was enormous and heavy, which meant few arenas could host it comfortably, and crews needed long windows to assemble and disassemble the set. That reality prompted WWE to adopt a more portable solution that retained the cinematic look while alleviating the rigors of touring and broadcast schedules. Smaller venues often struggled due to the chamber's extensive footprint. Production notes and retrospective pieces describe the original frame as approximately 16 feet tall and roughly 36 to 36 feet across, with many tons of steel and chain making up its walls and floor area. Those dimensions and the chain-laced construction made it difficult to fit under low ceilings and required special transport rigs. The size issue influenced where WWE could stage the match and how often they could bring the structure to a town on short notice. By the mid-2000s, WWE accepted that the structure needed rethinking. In 2017, the company introduced a redesigned chamber that was square rather than circular, utilizing new pod construction and different materials to reduce weight and complexity. The pods evolved into box-like enclosures, and production added padding around the ring apron and in areas that had previously been exposed metal. The goal was to preserve the visual identity while improving transportability and reducing the most hazardous contact surfaces. The redesign also reflected television priorities. The square footprint made it easier to integrate lighting and cameras, and the new pods offered clearer sight lines for TV viewers. Producers aimed to reduce assembly time and minimise physical strain on stage crews, enabling the match to be staged in more arenas and on tighter schedules. Those practical upgrades helped WWE book the chamber more reliably for modern pay-per-view and network television slots. Fans and critics reacted in two main ways. Many welcomed the added padding and the reduced risk of career-changing injuries. They pointed out that some of the most hazardous surfaces had been softened or covered, which made certain spots less likely to end in disaster. At the same time, numerous voices argued that the new look lost some of the original menace. Commentators and social media discussions noted that the first circular frame resembled an ominous machine, while the revised chamber felt sleeker and more television-friendly. Those competing perspectives shaped later tweaks and how WWE marketed the match. The redesign also changed how wrestlers used the environment. With more padding and safer pod materials, performers could attempt higher impact aerial spots with less risk than before. That opened the door for more modern athletic sequences within the chamber and for faster transitions that emphasized movement and timing over lengthy, grueling brawls. At the same time, the loss of exposed metal and the softer surfaces meant that some of the old brutality was reduced. So matches sometimes traded raw shock value for quicker, more athletic sequences. By 2017, the Elimination Chamber had evolved into a distinct entity. It remained a headline match that could shape championship pictures and create memorable images while being easier to transport and safer to stage. The redesign solved many logistical problems and reduced the most dangerous surfaces, but it also forced fans and performers to reassess what made the original so impactful. Its legacy remains contested, but its influence on modern main event booking is clear. The Elimination Chamber expands tag teams and women's matches. Between 2015 and the Elimination Chamber stopped being a single-use men's spectacle. It became a flexible arena that could host tag teams and the women's division with equal drama. WWE first tried a tag team version at the 2015 Elimination Chamber event, and the result showed that the metal structure could absorb more complexity than people had expected. Instead of 6 single competitors, multiple pairs were waiting in pods. That altered the flow of the match, as new competitors entered in pairs and tag team strategy had to blend with the timed entrances and punishing environment. The New Day put their tag team championships on the line in this bout, with the layout forcing teams to focus on quick, explosive sequences instead of extended back-and-forth battles. Tag team chamber matches introduced new visual possibilities and new risks. 2 wrestlers suddenly appearing and cutting off a tag created instant chaos, which television producers loved for its dramatic effect on camera. Creative teams leaned into that unpredictability and built surprise eliminations around perfectly timed pod openings. For performers, the match demanded a hybrid skill set. Teams needed tag team instincts about isolation and saving partners, and they also required the stamina and situational awareness to survive a ring surrounded by metal and pods. The tag team chamber proved useful when bookers wanted to resolve multiple feuds or give several teams a single high-profile night. The women's division entered the chamber era in 2018, and the moment mattered. WWE staged the first ever Women's Elimination Chamber, and Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss retained the title after surviving 5 challenges inside the structure. WWE framed the contest as historic, and the company's official coverage records it as the inaugural Women's Chamber match. That booking signaled a broader shift in how the company approached big match concepts, and it proved that promoters would trust female performers with the match's cinematic, high-risk presentation. WWE then used the chamber as a launchpad for new women's gold. In early 2019, the company announced the WWE WWE Women's Tag Team Championship and chose an Elimination Chamber match to crown the inaugural champions. Teams from both Raw and SmackDown qualified, and Bayley and Sasha Banks emerged as the first title holders. Placing the belt's origin inside the chamber gave the new championship an immediate sense of weight and spectacle. That choice also underscored how the structure could serve not just as a grind for singles gold, but as a ceremonial stage for launching entire divisions and titles. Some of the most emphatic single-night performances inside the chamber came from women who used the match to define character and momentum. In 2020, Shayna Baszler delivered a dominant showing by eliminating every other competitor in the women's chamber to earn a WrestleMania opportunity. Coverage from WWE and independent outlets described Baszler's performance as a clean sweep and as a turning point that positioned her as a primary threat heading into the biggest show of the year. That clean sweep is often cited as an example of how one flawless night inside the structure can dramatically accelerate a performer's standing. Bianca Belair's rise also intersected with chamber-era programming in ways that reinforced her momentum. By early 2021, she had already won the Royal Rumble, and she appeared on the Elimination Chamber card in high-profile tag team action that kept her center stage. Those appearances helped underscore her athleticism and credibility, and they contributed to a WrestleMania-level success that followed. In short, the Chamber was not simply a place to settle old feuds, but it became a stage that could catapult rising stars into main event conversations. The broader consequence of these experiments is that the Chamber stopped being a single man's crucible and became a modular arena. It could host teams, host women, and be used to inaugurate titles and create single nights that rewrote career arcs. Fans are split on the change because some miss the raw menace of the original design, while others embrace the fresh possibilities. Creatively, the expansion paid off because it gave WWE more ways to make a single night feel decisive. Memorable matches and legendary moments. The Elimination Chamber has always been a place where metal and storytelling intersect. From its first blood-soaked outing to modern-day spectacles, the match has a habit of turning ordinary nights into nightmares or miracles, depending on who is standing when the bell rings. Survivor Series 2002 gave the world the first chamber moment that still echoes in the rafters, when Shawn Michaels walked out a champion after fighting 5 other giants in the structure. There are nights when the chamber amplifies opportunity. New Year's Revolution 2006 stands out as the night opportunism changed WWE history. After John Cena survived a punishing Elimination Chamber battle, Edge capitalized on his exhaustion by cashing in the Money in the Bank contract, stunning the crowd as he dramatically claimed the WWE Championship. It rewired the title picture and cemented Edge's legacy as a man who took his chances. Sometimes, a single night turns into a 2-act play. No Way Out 2009 proved that idea painfully and brilliantly. Edge began the evening as WWE Champion and was shockingly eliminated early in the first chamber match. Later, he interfered during another entrance, then locked himself into a pod and effectively stole a second opportunity. He left the arena holding the World Heavyweight Championship and with opportunism written all over his face. The Chamber also made space for underdogs and long simmering fairy tales. Daniel Bryan carried that underdog heartbeat and had defining nights in the match in both 2012 and 2019. In those moments, Bryan used timing, grit, and pure will to defy larger opponents and keep or defend his gold, while the crowd sang every step of his comeback. Those nights added a layer of humanity to a match often defined by metal and momentum. Kofi Kingston's Kofi Mania arc grew from that same crowd-driven electricity. His performance in the 2019 Chamber threaded the needle between heartbreak and hope. That night did not end with him as champion, but it did set the stage for a WrestleMania victory that rewarded years of perseverance. Fans still point to those near misses as the spark that became a full blaze. In the modern era, the Chamber has also been a proving ground for Raw dominance. Brock Lesnar utilized the structure to brutal effect when he steamrolled his opponents and claimed the WWE Championship inside the pods. Roman Reigns has defended with lethal efficiency, and Bobby Lashley has brought non-stop power whenever he has entered the ring. When those names walk into the steel, the match often becomes a contest of which unstoppable force will hold the last breath. Not every memory is glorious. Some nights are remembered for overbooking or for seeing big names run through the format until outcomes grew predictable. Goldberg's 2003 Rampage was thrilling at first, but later framed as an instance where sheer force overshadowed storytelling. Fans and critics have also called out botched spots and lazy booking as the wounds that bruise an otherwise brilliant match type. Sportskeeda and similar roundups compile the best and worst chamber moments, allowing fans to debate which nights were genius and which needed better editing. Michael's victory at Survivor Series felt like redemption for a performer who had reinvented himself. Edge's cash in rewrote main event priorities and made opportunism a selling point. Kofi's Chamber Night translated fan hope into momentum that carried him to WrestleMania. For a compact fan guide, try Sportskeeda's greatest chamber moments and decide which night you want me to expand upon. Legacy of the Elimination Chamber. The Elimination Chamber arrived as a promise and a warning. It was made to be unforgiving and to force storylines into sudden clarity. From its debut in 2002, the Chamber offered a brutal theatre where a single night could alter a wrestler's standing within the company. The concept was simple enough to understand and dramatic enough to feel inevitable. When the metal closes, the moments inside become more than beats on a show. They turn into defining moments that resonate all the way to WrestleMania. Careers have been elevated because the Chamber can compress a lifetime of heat into 30 or 40 minutes. Daniel Bryan is the clearest example. His performances in Elimination Chamber, matches in 12, and in later championship defenses reinforced the underdog story that carried him to the main event of the business. Bryan employed ring psychology, grit and timing to turn danger into sympathy and sympathy into momentum. Those nights read like career punctuation marks that explained why the audience would follow him into the highest stakes. Kofi Kingston's rise shows how the Chamber can ignite a movement. His outing in 2019 did not end in immediate gold inside the Steel. It did change public perception and corporate willingness to back him in a bigger way. A crowd that had long supported Kofi suddenly felt permission to make him a star. The Chamber Night became the ember that sparked Kofi Mania and led to a WrestleMania payoff that many had begun to demand. The match translated persistent support into believable momentum. For women, the Chamber became an important stage. WWE ran the first ever Women's Elimination Chamber match in 2018, and the bout immediately expanded what the structure could mean. That shift gave female performers the same endurance tests and violent tableau that previously belonged to men only. Shayna Baszler's dominant outing in 2020 remains striking because she eliminated every opponent, primarily doing so by submission. Her win turned the Chamber into a place where women could both endure and dominate. People often talk about the Chamber as a brutal object even after it has been altered for safety and for television. The original round chain link design looked hairier and more menacing. In recent years, WWE has adjusted the setup and added padding, along with other changes, making high-risk spots less likely to cause long-term injury. Even with those modifications, the visual language of steel and pods still sells menace. The match keeps enough danger to convince fans that surviving it means something real. Timing matters as much as construction. Elimination Chamber events are typically held in February, positioning the match squarely on the road to WrestleMania. Winners frequently earn title shots, or they emerge as challengers whose momentum must be countered before the season's biggest shows. That calendar position gives the match a dual identity. It is both a spectacle designed to shock and a narrative machine built to accelerate long-term plans. Fans carry mixed feelings, and that tension explains a great deal about the Chamber's enduring power. Older viewers miss the raw threat of earlier sets, and they remember spots that felt perilously real. Newer audiences celebrate the match for its inclusivity and for showcasing women and a wider variety of styles. Both perspectives are true at once. The structure survives because it can honour the old memories while creating space for new ones. That uneasy balance keeps the Chamber feared and cherished long after the lights go down. When a pod opens and a bell tolls, the Chamber forces choices, truth and consequences. It can make a moment legendary, or it can expose a story's weak underpinnings. For all its changes, it remains a crucible that demands respect after the lights go down. Marvelous verdict. Eric Bischoff's shock announcement on Raw in October 2002 unleashed a machine. What began as a storyline gambit to one-up a rival brand became a living narrative engine that remade careers and created moments fans still chant about. Triple H is credited with the match concept, and the first chamber at Survivor Series in November 2002 introduced pods, metal, and a timed entry system, making every arrival a dramatic event. The fixture expanded into its own pay-per-view in 2010 and then evolved into a global spectacle that travels arenas and streams on services, shaping the road to WrestleMania. WWE altered the set over time to ease logistics and protect performers by redesigning the shape and adding padding outside the ring, yet the pods, chains, and elevated floor still pose a threat. The chamber has elevated underdogs turned stars, and it has been a proving ground for dominant forces. It has also been a canvas for memorable botches and story choices that divide opinion. That blend of danger, spectacle, and unpredictability gives the match its electricity and secures the Elimination Chamber a place among WWE's crown jewels. Its legacy endures because it still triggers visceral reactions today. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.